Well, uh, hello to everyone. Um, my name's Tom or Tomas. I'm here because, well, my wife has been deported. Um, she was deported to Guatemala, which is her home country, but she was actually living in Belize before she came to the States. When I met her in, you know, 2019, September 23rd to be exact, 2019. She had been here for a year and was just getting a start in the States and um, here in Oregon. And it was a long journey for her. And wow, um, hearing the story was heartbreaking. She went through a lot, but yeah, she come up here in 2018, August 2018, stayed with her sister for a while. We met, or fell madly in love with each other pretty quickly, and spent a lot of time together. And within a matter of months, we decided to move in with one another and start a life. And you know, uh, my mom was with us. She was disabled, and I was taking care of her. And the three of us did pretty well, except for the fact that COVID started a few months after, a couple months after we moved into our place. And at the same time, I had some serious health issues and was hospitalized, a handful of times through 2020 and up until the almost the end of 2021. But she stuck with me through that. We ended up marrying, and it was the first marriage of my life. Um, I was a happy man. Though I had some health issues and life wasn't perfect for us, it was hard getting through the COVID era. Um, we made it. Y por las personas que hablan español, voy a decir que estoy aquí en este momento ah, buscando un apoyo, ayuda para asegurar fondos para ir a Belice. Ah, Mi esposa, ella eres de Guatemala, pero ella estaba viviendo con familia en Belice antes de veniendo a la frontera. Ah, Estuvimos juntos desde año 19, septiembre, año 19 hasta ahorita. Ah, y somos casados, pero hay un problema. Es que como dos meses antes, ella ah, estaba deportado a Guatemala, porque es su país donde ella nació. Pero originalmente estaba viviendo con su familia en Belice antes de venir aquí a los Estados Unidos. Estuvimos felices, ah, estuvimos viviendo juntos por años, casados desde abril del año 21 hasta ahorita, sin problemas. Pero ahorita es- estás Trump otra vez, Donald Trump es presidente aquí otra vez en los Estados Unidos y estuvimos pensando que hay posibilidades que porque ella no tiene papeles y eso es la verdad, pero ya apliquemos por su visa, por ella. Ah, Estuvimos tratando en la manera legal ah, para hacerlo legal, ella, tratando, trabajando, todo eso. Pero como 2 meses antes, en mayo, un día, ya vinieron los ICE, inmigración, las inmigraciones a nos casa y, ay, pobrecita, ella estaba en la casa solita. Eso así, ella no sabía qué onda, que solo que las personas que, que parecen como policía estuvieron en la frente de la puerta y ella abrió la puerta y inmediatamente ella estaba arrestado, procesado aquí en Portland, y después ella estaba en Seattle, Washington, y solo 2 semanas después ella estaba deportado. Ya recibí una llamada de ella, y ella me dijo, estoy aquí en Guatemala y no sé qué voy a hacer. Ah, en Guatemala ella no tienes familia o nada, solo ella vivió allá en Guatemala antes, ella nació en Guatemala, es por eso ella estaba deportado allá. Entonces ah, ella necesitó comunicar con su familia en Belice, toda su familia es en Belice. Y ya se fue ella a regresar con su hermana allá en Belice, es donde estás ahorita. Y estoy tratando ah, ganar apoyo de otros, de la gente, ah, personas que entienden mi tristeza, que pueden ayudar, porque la verdad es yo estoy viviendo con solo seguro social, disabilidad, beneficios aquí en los Estados Unidos y es bien duro para mí para sobrevivir aquí y después de eso, ese desrespeto a mí, a mi esposa, a mi vida, yo no tengo ganas a vivir aquí nomás. Ah, Quiero mover ah, para estar con mi esposa allá en Belice y reempezar un nuevo vida con ella. So I just had to fill in my Spanish speaking viewers of what happened with my situation, with the deportation of my wife and where she's at. Um, and I need any support I can get, and I have respect for Latinos, and they have a strong culture. Um, they're strong in their families. They stay together. Um, Raising children the right way is very important to them. Supporting each other is very important, and staying strong. And I respect that. And I see a lot in their culture that it's things that I don't see here in America. Um, and that camaraderie, that family, the family bonds, types of family bonds that they have. Um, everything from, the way they raise their children to how they eat, and the kind of food they eat, how they prepare their own food, um, how they can survive, with, a minimal lifestyle and still be happy. Um, wow, it's just amazing. And how they treat each other. I follow some bloggers that are, down in, places like Central America and South America, other parts of the world too. But in particular, I think, I see a lot from Mexico on down to Chile. Um, I see a lot of compassionate people, a lot of engaging people, friendly people. Yes, in some of these places there is some um, gang issues, violence, and poverty. And poverty, there 60% of some of these places, like Guatemala, in particular, like Honduras and Nicaragua, are impoverished. 60% of the people, and but there's a lot of differences in how um, um, the standard of living and what they're allowed to, how they're allowed to survive. And I mean, it's just amazing to me that down there, that people live in favelas or poor areas of town, but they're able to construct their dwelling. They're able to, if they can run their own water, they can run it. If they can run their electricity, they're allowed to do so. There's no red tape. There's no, you know, endless permits and processes like that, and property taxes on property that people build on. Um, for those that are impoverished, the government understands this in places like that, and they, instead of living in tents on the street and being swept all the time, um, they're actually, able to go out in a remote area or, um, rural area and build their homes. Sometimes they're built out of adobe. Sometimes they're built out of, you know, built out of leftover lumber from other buildings, recycled materials, corrugated metal roofs and corrugated plastic. Sometimes, they're bathing out of rainwater from a barrel, but they're still happy. Their children are happy, and they're happy, and um, that's very resilient. And yeah, it's just been devastating for me. Um, I can't help but feel that way. I can't help but feel disappointed by, in my own of my own government and my own country, and disappointed in the average American, and you know, in my relations with other people, and communication with other people, how ignorant people are, how numb they can be, and how not caring they can be. A lot of people here, whichever side of the political fence you're on, are unhappy with what's going on. Um, it just it's nuts, to be honest. I mean, there's a focus, um, you know, on things like deportations. A lot of money spent on deportations. A lot of money spent on war right now, and neither one of them, you know, are necessary in different aspects. The war especially. I mean, there was no imminent threat there from Iran. It was a personal vendetta between Trump and them. Um, and when it comes to immigration, yes, immigration laws should be enforced. They were originally announced by the Trump administration to be enforced and enforceable to, um, you know, people with criminal records that are immigrants, gang members and such. Um, people that were a threat to society, not productive. And then what we see happen was that the majority of the people deported were people who had been here sometimes for decades, had been contributing to the Social Security system and to the, paying their taxes into the system. Um, and though that might may be in some cases under, falsified documents and things, some like to, some have done that kind of thing. Um, I'm not saying that that's right, but there's been a lot who have been arrested at court while they're in the process of doing their hearings and proceedings through ICE and going the right route. Like I said, some have been here for decades working. It became an issue with the deportations and the in the agriculture sector. As we know, most of the agricultural workers on the farms aren't Americans and definitely not white-skinned people. They are usually Latinos from Mexico and other Latin American countries who come here and they work on the farms and they work hard and they don't make very much money. To me, it's similar to the slavery system that happened, way back in the 1800s. Except yeah, these people are paid. They're paid at a federal minimum wage usually, or they're paid by piecework. Getting so much per pound of fruit or per flat of fruit, and some of these immigrants will work like 14-hour days in the hot sun, and they take home like $150 a day or some ridiculous amount. It's not right, and farmers were calling it out. Farmers were calling it out, um, you know, right at the beginning of Trump's second term. Within a few months, it was causing a big headache for farmers that were having raids being done on their farms and their acreage and losing a lot of labor, and then the crops were dying. Read about one farmer whose tomato crops, just he lost like tens of thousands of dollars in product. Um, and then all of a sudden, the Trump administration, says, oh, well, we realize that, this is having a big effect on farmers and the agriculture sector, and so we're going to lighten up on the raids. Um, I don't know. Um, I think that yes, a certain amount of taxpayer money should be devoted to going after illegal immigrants, especially in the sense that they're, criminals or they're using fraudulent documents or, um, you know, a threat to society. There's been some who have raped women. There's been horrible things that have happened. But if you're going to say one thing, do that. Go after those folks. But they're spending a whole lot of money on going after hardworking immigrants that just don't have papers, and but yet have families, have children that are being left behind. Families are being torn apart. There's been another shooting in Houston. ICE officer shooting an immigrant. Of course, we know of the other ones that have happened, Renee Good and such, and um, it's just, man, that's crazy when people are actually losing their life. You know, it's sad. I mean, just because they're illegally in this country, they're losing their life. I don't know, but now it's hit home for me, and it's definitely not easy to deal with. It's devastating, and I'm at that point where I've seen enough go on in America. We could go on about it forever, but I've seen enough happen where um, I'm ready to leave. And yes, I'm reaching out there um, to people for support to do so. I don't have the funds to um, you know make the move, and I need to have a little bit of a pool of money raised to be able to do so. I'm on disability, and yes, I have an income that can suffice, and for living in Belize or even Guatemala, places like that, um, yes, that income could suffice. realistically, and here it's almost impossible. It's been a struggle just to keep my home, keep my place. I'm on my own. Um, and yeah, I just really like to see my wife again, and like to finish out our journey together. And even she agrees that she thought she'd be happy here. She came and she's seen all the issues with the U.S., how she was treated by people, how she was, used and taken advantage of, and not only her small business that she ran, but in the employment sector. Um, yeah, and it's stuff that's been going on and building up for a long time, and it's time for it to stop. And there's a lot of other Americans that are becoming expats and doing the same thing, um, moving on. They move to another country. They're happier. It's a cheaper cost of living, especially if they know the language and they know the culture, and um, got the basics down. They're happy, and they're not coming back. Um, but yeah, so that's where I stand. I see, uh, me estoy comunicando aquí en ese video, um, que estoy buscando como sí pidiendo ayuda de personas que pueden ayudar financieramente. Um, Necesito un apoyo para dejar de ese país, de los Estados Unidos, y ir a Belice para vivir y estar con mi esposa y continuar mi vida con ella allá, y no tengo ninguna intención a regresando aquí. Pero la verdad estoy recibiendo beneficios de seguro social, disabilidad aquí. Esos fondos no son suficientes para quedarme aquí. Y también no quiero vivir en este lugar, Estados Unidos, este presidente y esta administración. Estás ah, cambiando por el mal este país, ah, procesando, arrestando ah, mucha gente inocente que solo están trabajando, familias, separando familias, ah, con niños, y deportando a mucha gente, arruinando las vidas de la gente. Y yo soy americano, pero mi esposa, ella es latino. Ella es latino. Y ahorita ella no estás conmigo. Ella está deportado, estás viviendo en Belice. Estamos separados y estoy buscando un apoyo de dinero, fondos, para asegurar mi boleta para viajar allá, y suficiente dinero para reempezar mi vida allá en Belice. Y gracias por viendo este video, y por favor si puedes compartir este video o información a otra gente, sus amigos, su familia. Por favor, compartir y enviar ese video a los. Y gracias a todos. Again, I go back and forth between English and Spanish because I want to get the word out in both languages, and I can use any I can get. I do have my PayPal on my bio page here, on my YouTube channel, and yeah, I'd appreciate any donations, any help that anybody could send. I do have a Cash App. It's tamales to you. tamales to you. And those are the only two ways I have at the moment for people to help if they'd like to. But I thank you in advance if you're able to. And please start a dialogue with me. I have some videos posted, some shorts, or on this live. Let me know what you think. Let me know if the deportation issue affected your family. And I'd like to, yeah, just start a dialogue on this issue. Also, eh, um, y por los que hablan español, que quieren ayuda, yo tengo un PayPal. um, Ese sitio está incluido en mi biografía, mi canal aquí en YouTube. También tengo un Cash App. Mi Cash App, mi nombre es Tamales to You. Tamales to You. Yo sí aprecio todo el apoyo. Todas las personas que pueden ayudar. Gracias, gracias, gracias.